Hello, divas. Hello. Happy Jupiter Day. Happy Thursday. Let's see if I'm turning this down a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. I'm having my first coffee of the day because there was like no creamer in the house, and I just didn't want to like have coffee without the creamer. I look forward to my coffee as soon as I finish it, like for the next day. And I just don't like see the point in making myself like suffer, and by that I mean just like not enjoying my coffee. I don't drink I mean, like, sure, whatever, like, honestly, genuinely, I drink coffee because it tastes really fucking good. Generally, of course, let's be so for real here, maybe because like I'm just so used to it by now, and I guess it gives me some sort of energy. But really, I just do it for the taste and with the creamer. mm. um but birds of today, sparrows. um yeah, so sparrows, a lot of seagulls, starlings, pigeons, mourning doves, blue jays, cardinals, and the crows today. Honestly, genuinely, like, I've just been reflecting on how much, like, being as mercurial as I am, like, I just really freaking love divination. Like, it's like literally like my jam. Like, it's just so much fun. Like, I talk about it like a lot, but that's only because I just really enjoy it. Like, it's just so fun, like, conversing. Oh my god, like, I just love divination. Like, it's so fun, and it's like the more you lean into some form of divination, it's like you start to kind of really recognize how easy it is to really divinate in other ways apart from, like tarot or whatever else, people like pendulum. um it's quite nice that like you don't even like really need any objects or tools. You can like literally just go out in nature, right? Like, that's just so fun. And like that's like what I was like on about. I think, I don't know, but like that's the main thing for me when it comes to working. I always say this, I don't like to say working because I see myself as a student. I reach out to deities with the intention of just learning. Like, it's just so fun. Like I said, and I think a video from like a week ago, like, that's my jam. Like, that's how I love to learn. I love to learn through, honestly, the spirits. Like, that's fun for me. That's my jam. I love to learn. I love learning through the spirits, and honestly, nature. And then I love conversing. You know what I mean? It's fun. I generally, truly do enjoy it. And I remember like growing up in like as I said in another video, growing up in a Christian household. Like, one of the things that frightened me the most was the fact that I never really felt alone, like in a room by myself in the dark. I never felt by myself, and I know, like, fast forward to now, like the thought of that makes me happy. It makes me happy. And it also serves as a reminder to, to never think that whatever we do goes unnoticed, right? Like, when you're looking out the window and you're perhaps bird watching or looking at the squirrels or something, and maybe they're completely oblivious. Who's looking at us, and so forth. We're like literally, but yeah. But speaking of just the deities and all that jazz, one of the things that has resurfaced in some of our conversations is the topic of, honestly, love. The topic of love. Um, and, you know, when you think about like love or whatever, what really is the foundation for you, firstly, when it comes to like the idea of love? And naturally, I mean, for the most part, it will be your family. And I guess that sometimes we don't really truly realize how much our upbringing really distorts what it really truly means to love and to be loved. And that's another thing as well too, that I always found a hard time, like, for instance, like just following like Christianity as well too, because in Christianity, like, you're taught that like the God of the Bible or whatever is like all loving and everything of that nature, but yet seeks to control and seeks to limit. And in my mind, I just and he's also a jealous God, and in my mind I'm just like, I always had a hard time understanding how can someone who loves me not want me to be free, or is controlling me, or just it lacks acceptance for who I am. You know what I mean? Um, but this really isn't a topic about like Christianity right now, but I'm just saying that had a role in my perception of love, since I'm growing up in a Christian household and I'm surrounded by people who are supposedly following. No, they're not. They're all hypocrites. And I when I call people hypocrites, right? I'm not trying to sit up here and act as if I'm a saint. You know what I mean? I'm a human being, but I try each and every day to move with integrity. Okay? I don't try to look for excuses into doing something when I know I shouldn't. Maybe if I want like a joint or something. Hello, I'm a fuck yeah. Like, okay, I might like well, like it's Tuesday, which is basically Wednesday, which is basically Thursday, which is basically Friday. So I should, fuck it. But like yeah. And I'm just, for my conversations and stuff like that, like, I'm really I've this year has really pushed me to just really reflect on that and to just really enforce and uphold boundaries with those within my family who I never thought I would have to do that. Um, and just like in hindsight, like, I don't know, like, how can people say they love you when they have continuously gone out of their way to kind of stifle you, to dim you down, to place false narratives on you? How can a person say that they love you when all they ever really did was just kind of make you second guess who you are or be ashamed of who you are? Um, try to just like try to just dim you down and just shut your voice out. That's not love. I don't know how one can do that to a kid. And this really isn't me like sobbing or whatever, or like woe is me. That's what the hell is that gonna do? It's not gonna do nothing, right? What's done is done. Right, like he agrees. But it's just like, oh, what birds are those? I think those are like the ducks migrating. Ducks or geese? Oh, there's five. That's so beautiful. But like, and so basically, like, I mean, yeah, I'm not like, this isn't like a sob session or whatever. Like I said, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. You deal with the cards that you've been dealt with, whatever the fuck people say. But I've just been reflecting on it and just like looking back and just realizing like, whoa, like just because just because just because someone is family to me, that doesn't mean that I'm obligated to bend over backwards for them all the time, and to just continuously like allow them to disrespect my boundaries, to push my boundaries. And I shouldn't, like, I should not have to be forsaking my own needs just for the sake of theirs, just to make them happy. And one of the main ones just being with my grandmother, who I've always had a rocky relationship with her from the jump. But what really kind of, what's the saying? Put the nail on the hammer, whatever the fuck people say. What really set the tone for me to just really stop talking to her and just really set that boundary is like in the summer when I said I caught her throwing water of one of the cat friends that I take care of. And she basically, she was like, your parents should have never made a child like you. And it's important to note as well, too, the kind of treatment that I've had to kind of endure in this family. Because it's just me and then like my cousins. The kind of treatment that I've endured and whatnot, my other cousins have, like, my grandmother would never treat my other cousins the way that she's treated me, and that's just simply a fact. Like, there's no denying that, right? And I wonder why that is. Um, but yeah, like to just tell your grandchild with a smirk on your face. Well, when I caught her, when I confronted her about throwing water at one of the cats, I'm like, why would you do that? And like with a smirk on her face, she's like, because she wanted to. It's also important to note as well too that she is scared of cats and she's also scared of snakes, which I find very interesting because those are two very cunning and intuitive creatures, right? And they have that energy of just really being able to read through you. And, you know, someone like her who really puts on a facade or just manipulates as well too. I find it interesting that, you know, she's scared of such creatures. But, you know, yeah, to tell your grandchild that, you know what I mean, after continuous years of just kind of treating them like just weird as fuck, you know what I mean? And then to go ahead and lie about how the situation went down, and now fast forward to like some weeks ago, she's like, "Oh, I don't even remember like what even was said." How funny is that? Anyway, but this is just like that right there really wrapped it up for me, because as well too, I like I said, I take care of the cats like in the neighborhood, and the amount of times my grandmother has gone out of the way to just try to stop me from taking care of the animals, or has made me seem as though like I'm doing too much, or like I'm aware like there's something wrong with me just because I want to show love to these beautiful creatures of this earth. I'm so filled with love. I have so much love to give, and I refuse to just be sitting up here and hoarding it and keeping it all to myself. Love is an infinite thing, and it's not something that I believe it's not something that's just limited to just humans. Love can be shared in so many places. And I always believe that whatever is done in love is done well. I believe it's like a saying. And, you know, anyway. But it's just like things like that, you know? And then some other family members where, like, it's just weird. I just like going back to like that, like, this, I'm not trying to, like, I'm really not trying to, like, get into, like, it's really not that deep. It's really not that serious. It is what it is. And I'm so grateful for everything that has happened to me. Even the things that you know, that I didn't find ideal, but I'm just reflecting on how my perception of love, how it just translated into other connections in my life, platonic and romantic as well too. And the ones in which where I found myself in just like a lot of romantic connections where they only really sought to take from me rather than it be a reciprocated kind of thing. And I also am recognizing as well too the ways in which that they kind of replicated the characteristics of my dad, which is just very yuck to me. I'm thinking about some of my my friendships as well too, and the ways in which they've been interesting, but they have not been great. They have not been healthy. Um, and one thing as well too that they seem to all share is like this like lack of depth. And I'm finding myself now to like working my way out of these kind of surface level connections that don't really satisfy my soul and my spirit. I desire that. That's what I want, and I can't get what I want if I continuously choose to accept for the things that I know I don't want. But you know, yeah, going back to like the topic of just like love and everything, you know, I've been reflecting. It's these couple of years have been years of really deconstructing and just, you know, rewiring my brain, to be honest with you, in so many things. Um, because like I said, for to love is to accept, right? And it's just that like nothing that forces or requires me to kind of constrict myself, to limit myself to anything that makes me feel as though like I'm boxed in, then that's just simply like not love, right? Because like I said, love is to accept. If being around family members, if being around friends and relationships, if being around them makes me second guess myself or feel like I need to dim myself down just for them to be comfortable, then that's just not love. You know, that's just not love. And it was really hard, you know. Sometimes I think about like it hurts like a little bit sometimes thinking about like, damn, like I wish I didn't have to set this boundary with my grandmother because she kind of raised me as well too. But I don't want to be the one to perpetuate this kind of behavior in my family because honestly, none of them really do. And they get taken advantage of for it. Of course, my relationship with my mom as well too. That's like a whole like different thing as well too. But I do see how my relationship with my mom as well too. I do see how it's reflected in my connections when it comes to my female friendships. To some extent, honestly. um but like yeah, like I think about it and it's like damn, like I wish I didn't like have to do this, but I refuse to be taken advantage of. I deserve better and I know that, and just because someone is my family, that doesn't mean that I need to, like I was saying earlier, it doesn't mean I need to accept what I know I'm not deserving of. And this is what I'm saying as well too. This is why like people of such like this is why people who have, just deceptive ulterior motives and all this kind of stuff, or just people who just are who mask. This is like another thing as well too. Going back to that Christianity part, this is why religion is such it's the perfect thing for them. Because to control is to manipulate, and that's just simply not love, you know? But yeah. And like just like unlearning a lot of things of what I thought love was, um, has really pushed me to like just like love myself more, and I'm so grateful. It has taught me to just become so comfortable in my own space, my own energy, and to stop chasing or just going after people. And because there's nothing wrong with wanting human connections, like we're human beings and we thrive on that, but we'll not thrive if we just kind of stay in connections that, like I said, don't nourish our soul. I mean, I guess for some that's all people want, but I just know for me I want something more, and I'm not gonna get it with what if I perpetuate what I've been doing in the past. Oh no, she's like warm. Another thing as well too, when it comes to like romance as well too, like I've been like really sitting and thinking about it. In general, like honestly, I don't feel like a jealous person when it comes to like my like I don't feel like that, because I genuinely do understand that whenever that feeling arises, that's just like a call coming from within, and I allow myself to really sit with it, but also I genuinely do understand that my own path and what I have going on is unique for me, and I have what I have for a reason, and comparison generally is a thief of joy, and everybody has their own thing going on, or has the life that they have because that's for them. But relationship wise as well too, like in general, I'm not a jealous person. I can think of just like in my first relationship, I definitely had issues with that, but that was just stemming from like my self-confidence issues and self-love issues. It had nothing to do with the person. It had all to do with me, and the more I like allowed myself to like lean into it and stuff, it became easier to just really identify what the hell was going on. But I'm really like not a jealous person. I don't ever want my partner to ever like I don't own you. I don't ever want anyone to ever feel as if I own them. I don't even like calling like my animal friends like my pets. Like I don't own you guys at all. Like you guys are your own spirit, like your own beings, you know what I mean? Y'all have your own thing going on. Like I don't own you. So that's why like I know I don't really want a partner where I have to like I said, feel like I'm being boxed in, or I don't feel free. Um, you know? And like there's nothing wrong, of course, with like of course if you're more like on the monogamous side of things, right? There's nothing wrong with, like not wanting to share your like hello, like I understand, but I don't seek to control people, right? Like at the end of the day, people are more than welcome to do what they want to do, and whatever they decide to do will move accordingly. But that's why, as I've been preaching, it's so important to be so stable and so rooted in yourself that, like, even if, God forbid, like a partner like cheats or something, it may hurt to walk away, but the most important relationship you're ever going to have is the one with yourself. And the healthier that is, the healthier connections you'll attract. But the more you'll not try to put your own relationship with yourself at stake for the sake of somebody else, And like, there's like that notion of like, oh my god, like he's jealous, like he's controlling or whatever. Like that's thought as something to be like attractive, but in hindsight, like not really. Like there's a difference between being possessive and protective, and I don't want possessiveness. I don't. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with not wanting to share or whatever, but you don't own me. You don't own me, and that's one of the things I struggle with as well too. I don't like when people make me feel that way. And like I said, for so long I thought that was what love is about, because like I said, a family that relies on religion and a grandmother who seeks to control and everything of this nature, and growing up in such environment as well too, like I said, it dims you down to some extent. You know what I mean? And then it makes you question like who you are or what you're supposed to be or things of this nature. You know what I mean? Mm-mm. But like, yeah. Like I'm just here for a good time, man. You know what I mean? I'm not here to, you know. I'm not sure how I feel about this creamer. It's good, but just like different, Let's see what my deck has to say. If my deck would like to say anything, add like any input or whatever. But they're like, yeah. And just like, especially coming from just like an immigrant family as well too, like the idea of setting boundaries and stuff and saying no is so foreign. Oh my god, and the ways in which that my family as well too, they have taught me that by over giving and bending myself backwards to everybody, that's me showing love, that's showing up, or that's like love. And that's another thing I definitely had to work through, is to stop over giving and to doing a whole bunch of mental gymnastics and bending over for someone. I don't have to prove that I'm deserving of love. I don't have to neglect myself and my own needs, for the sake of somebody else. That's something that I see in my family all the time, and especially for the women in my family who do so much more than they need to be doing. And I don't want to perpetuate that. I don't want to. Where are we gonna split? Split on a dick. Ace of Cups reverse, the Nine of Cups reverse, and the High Priestess in reverse. A lot of intuitive energy, or just, Cups and the High Priestess, right? That's like, Ace of Cups in reverse, that focuses on just a sense of being blocked, a lack of motivation, but more so just a lack of a sense of feeling blocked. And that High Priestess in reverse. This all gives a sense of disconnection from self with that Knight of Cups as well too. With all of these like in reverse, it gives the energy of a sense of being disconnected from yourself, but that can perhaps tie on to what I was just saying previously about like if you're continuously pouring into the cups of other people and not your own, that kind of like leaves you in a place of feeling like dissatisfied or a sense of dissatisfaction. And unsure about who you are, because especially with these cups, which is a very, like I said, it cups you like with emotions, your intuition. It's also a very creative kind of energy, right? And it's like, how can you pour into your own cup, right? And pour into your own desires, because we have that Nine of Cups there. How can you pour into your own desires and create what it is that you want to create? And express yourself the way that you would like to express yourself if you don't even take the time to really prioritize yourself, you know what I mean? But yeah. You can't know yourself if you don't take the time to prioritize yourself. It's so important to know yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to know what you want, what you don't want, what you know. You need to know what you're deserving of and what you don't deserve. You really need, it's so important as well to just have your own like your own set of your own morals, your ethics, you know, what you want to like live by. It's so important to do so because it really adds some value to your life and to yourself. And you know, because you don't know yourself as well too, then the only way you're going to know yourself is by what people tell you that you are, which you should be, you know, things of that nature. You're your most important family. Just because people are your blood, it doesn't mean that you're obligated to them. Okay? Sometimes your family can be your biggest heartbreak, but that's okay. You know what I mean? And, you know, like, sure, like, people don't have to be physically abusive towards you or things of that nature. Not to say that they weren't. But, you know, I think that sometimes we tend to forget how much of an impact, you know, emotional and mental abuse, how much of an impact that has on a person, their nervous system, everything of that nature. It has an impact as well too. I believe that your body can't tell the difference between physical and emotional pain or something of that nature. Okay, abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter. But you know, but yeah. I'm grateful for all that has happened because it has taught me what love is and what love is not. Everything is always working out in your favor if you allow it to. Your mind is everything. How you perceive things, you know, makes your reality. If you continuously operate from the place of being a victim, then you'll always be a victim. And it's not to invalidate what one has gone through, but it doesn't do anybody any good if one continues to just sit in that. So what are you going to do about it? Right? Because you have control over your life and what you allow to happen to you. So that's my yap for today. Wait, is there like a card that my deck would like to end this off with? That Ace of Cups is there at the top again, the Star in reverse. Wheel of Fortune. You are in control of your own fate, of your own destiny, no one or nothing else, okay? Change doesn't have to be scary. It could be something very beautiful, because this can speak on an unexpected change, but in a nice way. Interesting. I saw a snake like this today on someone's hand, like a tattoo. I don't know if you can see it. Interesting. Have a beautiful day and I love you.